Hello. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Where? In the second to last episode, we got Zagbo. And other things, I'm sure. Where's my stuff? I know that I was in one of these rooms.
Look, I found Werner.
Here, there's another one. Following a report from a witness of the satanic ritual, who claimed to have found a body, the raid on the Manchio's mansion was granted. It resulted in the arrest of multiple suspects and dispersal of the group in masks and robes, caught in the acts of gross indecency and unnatural behavior. I think whoever killed him reported him. They did a self-report. They did a self-report, guys. The body of the victim was found lying on an altar with a knife wound in his chest. The officers identified the victim, Fabio, 20, a local performer and artist. That was spelled. Vogel had a letter of an insulting nature in his possession which had been written by the victim. He claims to have found the body. He is infamous for his eccentric personality. Sherlock Holmes carried a murder weapon, a dagger with the victim's blood, and other items of evidence. He was invited by another suspect, V. Vogel, presumably to obstruct the official investigation. K. Manchios, the owner of the mansion and organizer of the satanic party, paid the victim to participate in the ritual, had access to the crime scene. Batista, Fabio's partner and participant in the ritual, tried to escape as his addressed in the book the description of the ritual performed on the altar room. So the guys were temporarily detained for further questioning. So, the person, because there were two suspects for us. There was Batista and the other person. And the fact that Batista's named here leads me to believe that the other person reported the crime, and they're the ones that did it. Oh, it's good chocolate.
Back on track to solve the case.
Provided this ticket has permission to inspect all evidence on the case, 6260. I, Santos Pinchetti, am a witness who reports a suspicion of murder at Manchios' mansion in Grand Surrey. Yeah, Santos was the other guy. During preparations for the social party, I heard loud noises from the closed altar room. Immediately, I thought of the sacrifice of a living being overviewed by none other than Kurt Manchios. There was blood on the walls, strange symbols, and a dagger in his heart. As soon as I was able to think clearly, I rushed to the police station to report my findings. The station responded to the deposition by sending a patrol, while the witness left the station and went home. That is just not Vogel.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers, the new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first.
wants to hide his age. Yeah.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on. That's not something I know much about.
You don't know
I've
much
no
about
idea
yourself?
about that. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchio?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protégé and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Who do you invite?
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true laborers, I see.
Would you invite my man, Vogel?
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
famously clean. What happens if is that just immediate? Okay, because like I figured that might immediately just mark that he's the suspect, he's the murderer. Oh shit. Because it was very accusatory. Okay. You're just not.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a
sovereign
mere shell that will
citizen.
die someday. Just like Fabio.
She's a sovereign citizen, guys.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Those don't look suicidal, though. She was a slave like Fabio. Go with that.
You have both old and new scars. Some from the time when you were a slave with Fabio. Other scars have a different origin. The guests pay good money to torment you?
I am skilled in giving pleasure, but I don't participate in such practices.
I thought your body was...
For sale? It's true. Many unwanted things were done to my body. And the pain helped me to discover...
Occult deities? Yes, the tattoo speaks loudly of it.
Yes. Your gods abandoned me, and the ones I favor now are more protective of me.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Gordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
How'd you get the bruises?
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes.
That was it? Let's put on my proper suit real quick. Oh, Vogel.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
Oh, this is a hard decision. Would I or wouldn't I lie for vote? I would lie for vote, but I don't know if Sherlock would. You know, he's already lied many times in this playthrough.
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
Yeah, it was a little contradictory.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti,
Do I know him?
the major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you.
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
Alrighty. I need to Constable Oswald to detain Santos.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent
Self-report.
suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you. Could you help me?
Excuse me? What? I'm not sure I know.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I
Now
read
you're
it.
a suspect.
You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
I'm gonna go with has financial difficulties here.
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide under heavy makeup a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
Do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Do you know the victim?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always, Fabio-centric?
And Batista? Was she as popular as her...
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
We might have enough to solve it here. Is that... Oh, okay, that's more.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
Small and was his sent as my hopeful slug. You begged me to include you in my will, so I did. Here's my latest revision of the will, Kurt. The text of the will under no sentence Pinchetti, the major domo of the Manchios mansion, receives a jar of mustache wax and a salt lamp. He might always remember his caring employer, Kurt Manchios.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties,
right here.
He paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
Yeah, that's
That's not something I know much about.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
it's pretty clear to me that it's pretty clear to me that it's him. However, I'm gonna need to go to evidence lockup. Evidence.
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you. Don't you understand what a ticket is?
I thought that was the ticket. There we go.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
Okay.
A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone.
Another set of keys.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring.
I want to make sure there's some. Oh, god damn it! I accidentally clicked on fucking.
A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. That's not for bedtime reading.
Well, it could be.
This ex libris belongs to Manchios Library.
Police found this occult book in Baptiste's bag during the arrest. According to the ex libris, the tome was taken from Mr. Manchios' collection, containing illustrations and depictions of a ritual similar to the crime scene. Prepare the naked body of a recently deceased object of interest. Draw symbols of Mars and Venus to enhance the power you possess. To use force of. Nope. To use the force of male and female nature. Pierce his heart with a golden dagger. Be rid of the blood that does not love you. Draw a symbol representing your love while waiting for the resurrection. Recite the charm.
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room.
Yeah, there's probably like a fucking million rituals in that thing.
Her key to the altar room.
Letter was found in Vogel's evidence box. Is your mind unsound? You can't control your bitterness, not around me anyway. For me, it's too great a risk to ignore that kind of behavior. I can be, speak, and play with anyone I choose. I'm not another Matista. You pay me, but you haven't bought me. Of course, I'll keep all your generous donations, even though they hardly compensate for your last terrible outburst. I'm leaving you, although Matista will still be around. Fabio.
Not the time for privacy.
So Fabio was leaving him.
Werner's personal sketchbook. An emergency kit for boredom. Thank you, officer. There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protégé wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood, and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchios?
Oh, That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me. But I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
touché.
Please let me out.
The air here is rather refreshing. I'd even recommend that some of my friends visit the place.
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
I know I can handle the news.
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal. Give me the murderer and then take your friend with you. I won't budge otherwise.
Well, fine, but you're just wasting time.
Okay. Okay. Alright, yeah, we'll put him in prison, but... No. It would only be justified if he killed his uncle, and he didn't kill his uncle, so he's hanging. Yep. That's what we're doing. Yeah. I was thinking for a second, but then I was like, no, he's gonna hang. Because he didn't kill his uncle, he killed fucking Albert.
continue our investigation while I look for the papers.
Okay, I don't... Yeah, what do I do now? Do I go tell him that he's gonna die?
I know who killed Fabio.
So I'm free to go, sir?
Quite the opposite. I think it was you, Mr. Pinchetti.
That is not possible.
It's very
Allow me to
possible.
explain. The blood on your shoe tells me that you were with Fabio. You stabbed him with the dagger while he was still alive. You drew a sigil on him. There was a great deal of blood. You needed to remove it. Blood is almost like glue. It sticks to everything, dries quickly, and is quite visible. But you know how to handle stains. You are Kurt Manchios's major domo. However, despite your best efforts, you missed a spot.
It doesn't make sense, sir. I was never there. I am convinced there's a reasonable explanation.
You staged this decadent ritual so you would not be suspected. After a short fight, you knocked Fabio unconscious. You locked the door and dragged the body to the altar. You wanted to set up someone acquainted with this masquerade.
I don't have the nerve to kill or stage a murder. I can't even leave my uncle's house.
That's exactly...
You wanted to be rid of your dear uncle. I myself barely know him and already find him intolerable. You've worked for him for years. Santos, do this. Santos, do that. He doesn't pay you. He doesn't recognize your work. He doesn't see you as family. But you thought that heritage might be yours. Instead, all you'll ever receive is mustache wax. It is painful to witness such a situation. I cannot imagine how it must be for you. So, you decided to frame your uncle. Put the blame for Fabio's murder on him. That way, the heritage is yours, and you are free of him.
Half of what you say is true. I'm in pain. I have had a hard time with my uncle, but I'm not a murderer. I can't even stand up to my uncle. How could I have killed Fabio? He did nothing to me.
He was a source of your troubles too, though. Especially since Mr. Manchios treated him like a king.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
Your hate for Mr. Manchios was so strong you killed an innocent person. Your uncle did that to you. I could have understood that you wanted to see him gone. No one could tolerate that much humiliation. But you killed Fabio. You staged the ritual, tried to frame your uncle. Your neck deserves the gallows.
No, wait. I know it seems like I did it, but I did.
Oh, enough. Save your prayers for the afterlife.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Imagine this Vogel this entire time and just debated us. That Mind Palace clue thing doesn't go away. No. Yeah, that Mind Palace clue just... it's just gonna be there forever.
Santos Pinchetti is our man. The coward nephew, filled with bitterness, turned to murder. I have all the evidence for you.
That worm had the guts to kill. I'm impressed.
Impressed? He killed an innocent man who did him no harm whatsoever, just to charge his uncle.
Well, I have a word for that. Loser.
A strong noose is what he should get, I believe.
Agreed. That's an ending that would get me a fine promotion. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable.
Okay. Port 0743. Officers arrived to find the deceased, identified as Mrs. Violet Holmes, lying in the garden of Stonewood Manor. Visual inspection showed the victim to be thoroughly soaked with a deep vertical incision 2 inches in length down her throat. Her face was swollen and covered in red blotches, likely cause of death, hypoxia. Awaiting confirmation from medical examiner. Main suspect, Otto Richter, was arrested on the scene. The body was sent for autopsy. Backyard. We're gonna remember her body.
Garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Oh,
Sherry-
you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed, and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
John got
It is
cut
merely
off.
the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in the way it is most acceptable.
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
Oh yes. It's a struggle, but yes, we can make our own decisions. That's what I fight for.
And what an endless fight it is. Will you ever give yourself a break, Sherlock? You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
Okay. Oh, here it is, the last case. Okay, so apparently the garden is the final location in A Mother's Love. I just had to check really quickly. And you know what that means? That means we're going to be finishing the game tonight. Within the next 20 minutes, I suppose. Oh, we've come so far. I'm very excited to see how this all wraps up. John, I want to know everything. Where's John? Here. For this, we should put John in his original outfit, I think. Oh, it's been such a journey. Almost a year in the making. Where's John at? This is concerned. I don't see John anywhere. He's usually somewhere. There he
Home sweet home, Sherry. Sherry, please listen to me. Sherry.
John, I always listen to you.
You don't have to do this. You don't have to go through. I don't know what is beyond this door, but I can feel it. Buzzing, angry, like a fly at the window.
I know. I can sense it too.
You locked away this memory for a reason. There is only pain here.
Pain? And truth.
You do not need to suffer either. There is so much more we can do on Cordona, so many others we can help. There is no coming back from this.
I've done everything, John. We gotta finish this.
John, my animum, my brother, there is nothing more important in this moment than this truth. I know you fear for me, but my path was set long ago. I can no more step off it than I can ask the avalanche to roll back uphill.
Just... please be careful, Sherry. I love you.
Quite. Come on. We'll go together. Why didn't I remember we had such a big garden?
Maybe you forgot it for your own good.
This is gorgeous.
That's the descendant of a tree your father planted in London, correct?
Indeed, we planted the sprout here, and for a while it grew happily. Alas, it seems without us here to care for it, it didn't survive. Ah yes, the statue of Merope. My mother was trying to restore it. Pity she never had the opportunity to finish.
There we go.
Is that the raft we made together, John?
Looks more like a pile of rotten planks now.
That's from Mother's favorite tea set. What is it doing in here?
Oh.
Come here, Sherry. Hurry!
These must help calm her down.
What are you thinking about? Is everything all right? What are you thinking about? Is everything all right?
You had a little weird thing in your voice there, John.
Don't go, Mother, wait! I remember this artifact from Mother's collection. Mother's work journal. I liked poring over the detailed pages and reading about my parents' collection.
Here it is. We'll just borrow it for a while.
Did you hear that? Someone's coming. Let's take a peek. You call this progress? Charlotte, amateur. I'm not letting you anywhere near my mother again.
Any result is progress, even if it is a worsening of her condition. It informs my...
No. I have made my decision. She must be sent to a legitimate medical facility. I will not let her hurt Sherlock.
What? Master Holmes, you do not understand.
That will be all. I expect you to have left the house by week's end.
Sherry, say something. Can you hear me? You're scaring me.
Waiting for you.
John. I think this is goodbye, John.
Sherry, come here, darling. Sherlock, I'm here. Come
Coming,
closer.
Mother! This was for my mother, wasn't it? I remember how we came to the garden for a breath of fresh air.
Take me to my flowers, Sherry. They must already be in bloom.
As you wish, Mum. I bet you missed the fresh air, didn't you?
Terribly. The sun is far brighter than I remember. But I like it.
We can walk each day from now on, if you want.
That would be wonderful. Just look at them. The stars of the earth. Even the sky must be jealous of their beauty.
Indeed. Mother, would you like to go around the water?
That would be perfect. I always wanted such a nice pond in London. It looks so peaceful.
Mycroft knew you would like it.
We should put some fish in it, don't you think?
How about some carp?
That's a nice idea. Let's visit your father's tree. It grows so fast, just like you.
We could even build a tree house in it.
Yes, Sherry.
Okay, we made it past the water. Oh, we made it past the water. No, okay.
Speaking of your father, could you call him out, please?
Mom! I'm sorry. He passed away. He's gone.
No, he's not.
I'm telling the truth. Did you forget again?
No! Don't you dare say such things! You are a liar like all the others!
Mother!
Don't call me that! You aren't fooling me!
No! Mom, it hurts!
My son would never lie!
Mom, stop!
Who are you? Reveal yourself!
Please, stop! It's me, Sherlock!
You are not my Sherry! Give me my stuff, I can't tell you!
John one is definitely the most emotional.
Sherlock. Sherlock. Can you hear me? Come on, wake up.
Get off me.
Sherry,
You knew, and more than that, you hid it from me.
you couldn't bear the truth, Sherlock, so I shouldered it for you. I took your pain, your horror.
Otto Richter murdered my mother, and Mycroft covered it up. Whisked me away from this place, buried me in schoolwork, and left the past to rot.
And you needed a way to cope, so I helped.
You were a lie, John, a fiction, a crutch.
No, I was a friend. Sherlock, please.
Sherlock,
What?
are you okay?
I don't know.
I told you not to come, Sherlock. Where is he?
Who?
Your friend, John.
He's beside you.
Was all this worth it? Is he worth it?
Why is he here?
I think, in his own way, he was trying to protect me. A truth I couldn't bear. But now I must face.
Sherlock, what are you doing?
You kept me in the dark and kept your actions quiet. You enabled Richter and his untested quackery for far too long. And worse, you wanted to lock up our mother.
I wanted to give you a chance at normalcy, childhood. There was no changing what happened, no good to come of dwelling in the past.
It was lies upon lies. Otto Richter was trying to save her, but you decided he deserved to take the fall. Is that justice?
The big picture, Sherlock. The big picture. Perhaps Richter was not responsible for her fit of rage, but his treatment led inexorably to that moment. You were so fragile. I could not... I just couldn't. I chose us over him.
You know,
Disgusting.
for once I believe you. Perhaps now that the truth is out, I can actually do what you had hoped. Leave it all in the past.
Good. You have your whole life ahead of you, Sherlock. It is time you got on with it.
I was worried there for a minute, Sherry. Really worried. I didn't want to hurt you. What's so funny?
I am talking to myself, John. I think I was hurt regardless.
But we made a good team, eh? Explored every inch of this place together. Helped a lot of people. Terrorized a few too, I suppose. I think I may go so far as to say, Sherry, that I have not lived wholly in vain.
So that's it. It's over.
You've opened every door, Sherry. Faced the past you locked away. You don't need me anymore.
I know. I will miss you all the same. I don't want you to go.
Yes, you do.
Goodbye, John.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that hit me a bit in the face.
Why are you here?
Closure, I suppose. And to help a friend.
You and I are not friends. In a race between the thawing of the ice caps and our friendship, I would buy a boat.
Ha! Is that right?
I can see it now. I know what you did.
What did I do?
You needled me. From the moment we met, you were searching for weakness. You pushed me to pursue the truth about my mother. You questioned everything I did, everything I believed, to break me. To blur truth and fiction, reality, morality. A saboteur in silk. Was it vengeance, Val? Or do you prefer Klaus?
Excuse me?
You are Klaus Richter, Otto's younger brother. You hold me responsible for his end.
Ha! There was no love lost between me and my brother. I am sure you can relate. Otto was merely the gravity that pulled me into your orbit. Or you into mine. Once I met you, I could not keep away.
Why? What reason do you have for all this?
To help you.
You're lying.
To show you that you were wrong.
More lies. I know you now, Werner. Try again.
To see what had happened. Or is that yet another untruth? Does it matter? Take your pick. Who cares? You're my masterpiece. I turned Sisyphus into Ozymandias. You could not see the futility of your quest until I helped you to let go of the rock. And now, nothing beside remains.
I remain. Despite you, and to spite you.
It is a matter of will and power now. Will you overcome this, or shall you decay? Oh, on that note, I brought you something.
I want nothing more from...
When one wants for nothing, Sherlock, the best thing to get them is something personal. So, here you are. Now, please excuse me, but the gallery calls. I'm already conceiving my next project. You really are beautiful.
My brother returned to London soon after our disagreement. He enrolled at Cambridge University, but attends only the rare classes that hold his interest. I hear he took employment at a hospital laboratory, obsessing over his experiments. I suppose he seeks solace in the empirical truth of a chemical test. I am afraid for him. His evenings are spent alone, solving citizens' menial mysteries to pass the time. And I suspect he is growing paranoid. One of my agent's vehicles recently ignited during a surveillance operation. She was lucky to get out alive. There is only one man who could orchestrate such a feat. Or perhaps two. I saved my brother. He will never forgive me.
I found it! I found it!
And what is that?
How far, bruises may be produced after death. How are you? You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive.
How on earth did you know that?
Never mind. The question now is about bruising. No doubt you see the significance of this discovery of mine.
It is interesting, no doubt, but practically...
Why, it is the most practical medico-legal discovery for years. Had we these data sooner, hundreds of men would have paid the penalty for their crimes. Cases oft hinge upon how a man died. Now, we can know which wounds he suffered alive, which occurred post-mortem, and what instrument was responsible. And ergo, one will soon be able to calculate with utmost precision when and where death occurred, sparing the innocent and damning the guilty.
Well, then you are to be congratulated.
Indeed. But, you came here on business.
Correct again. I am looking for someone with whom to take diggings, and heard you were complaining that you could get no one to go halves with you.
I have my eye on a suite in Baker Street, which would suit us down to the ground. You don't mind the smell of strong tobacco, I hope?
I smoke ships myself.
That's good enough. I get in the dumps at times, and don't open my mouth for days on end. Just let me alone, and I'll soon be right. What have you to confess now? It's best for two fellows to know what bruises each other carries before they begin to live together. My last companion and I...
Well, I object to rows because my nerves are shaken, and I get up at all sorts of ungodly hours, and I am extremely lazy. I have another set of vices when I'm well, but those are the principal ones at present.
Do you include violin playing in your category for rouse?
It depends on the player. A well-played violin is a treat for the gods. A badly played one.
Oh, no, that's all right. I think we may consider the thing as settled. Oh, forgive my manners. My attention wavers. Sherlock Holmes.
Dr. John Watson.
John.
What a gorgeous game. Oh, I loved that thoroughly. Oh, that was emotional and heart-wrenching and very nostalgic there at the end. I'm looking forward to the future. I think The Awakened will be a wonderful, wonderful sequel to this game. And we'll be playing it around this time next year if the Kickstarter goes as planned. Thank you guys all for watching this series. It's been a blast. And I'll see you around. Until next time.